Right, we'll kick off. It's certainly a different way of launching Ruxley in Bloom this year. It's certainly not something we ever envisaged happening, but thank God we're launching it. So that's the main thing. So a couple of things. First of all, thank you. We have a very small, it's quite a personal audience we've got this morning. Thank you for attending. As I said, last year was certainly a very challenging year for everybody, but it was great that actually the saving grace for a number of people across the nation were in fact our gardens, which was a bit of the irony was that we couldn't obviously have a gardening competition, and actually it was the saving grace for everybody. But moving on to positive things, this year we absolutely can, and although it will potentially be a different way of judging, which Jim will come on to in a minute, we're just very, very pleased that we can actually launch Ruxley in Bloom 2021. And I think certainly as lockdown releases, last year we had the benefit of the mental health and physical well-being and the benefits that gardening brought to everybody. And now as lockdown starts to release and we are allowed to finally meet people outside, gardens becomes ever more important. So I think we have every reason to be positive. In fact, reading a document recently, the Horticultural Trade Association have estimated that we have gained 3 million extra gardeners through lockdown as people have realised the importance. So we're hoping that will show that we'll have a slightly bigger uptake on the competition this year, but we shall see. So without further ado, a huge thank you as ever present Jim Buttress, who will shortly be transitioning into my seat. But just very, very pleased that we can finally launch the competition. As I've said, the judges will be going around to the houses. People who do not feel comfortable with judges going round, photographs can be submitted, but we'll clarify that shortly. But thank you very much for attending. Jim, over to you.
Thank you. Morning, everybody. I mean, this is unreal for me because, as you know, I'm the world's greatest dinosaur. So to be doing it this way, but it's better than nothing. I just want to reiterate what James said. However serious and upsetting the whole thing was, the amount of people that took to the garden is unbelievable. And this is very noticeable in the amount of inquiries we've had from people about what to do, when to do and how to do it. And I'm delighted that we are going to get the competition going this year. Obviously, the categories, they're going to come up shortly and we'll go through them. To explain a little bit deeper, and we will as we go along, if anybody wants to enter their back garden and they have the access available for us to go through the side way, then fair enough. If you haven't, then submit a photograph and we will judge it that way. We'll come on to it in a minute, but the same with the school gardening. Because of all the problems and everything else, we're going to do the school garden, the competition, by a photograph. And again, I'll explain that in detail. But if we can we put up the... We'll give you all the opportunity to ask any questions at the end of it. So the categories as such, if we start at the top, residential, that's best front gardens, seasonal containers. So there we're looking at the bedding and things like that you've got in containers, display or whatever. The permanent front garden, obviously that's more herbaceous, perennial, shrubs, that sort of thing. And then, as I say, the best back garden, provided you've got a side entrance that we can go into and we can judge it for you, that'll be fine. If you haven't and you still want to enter, and we want you to enter, then send in a photograph. One of the things that we would do with the front garden displays, with anything where we don't actually see the people, having judged it, we will then put a card through the door to that effect. So at least you know you haven't been forgotten and we've gone ahead and judged. Moving on to the schools, because of all the restrictions and the problems that there are, we've decided that this year it will be a themed container. So it could be an old wheelbarrow, it could be a dustbin, it could be Wellington boots, anything. More imagination you use, the better. I'm encouraged by the fact that I've just finished judging for the London Children's Flower Society, their daffodil competition. And it was incredible, the amount of children that it was all done by photograph, but the children that had entered, taken them home, looked after them. One case which really, well, amused me, I thought it was very, very enterprising. The kids had actually grown the hyacinths and then sold them to the parents as flowers to raise money for their garden club. So they got an extra medal for that. Allotments, once again, best allotment plots and the best overall allotment site. Again, the increase in people in taking on allotments has been incredible. Lots of first timers, they thought, well, we got nothing else to do, let's get, and they actually enjoyed it when they started doing it. And we thought it would just be a one-off and then it dropped down. No, it hasn't. The numbers have increased. So again, same applies with the allotments and not only the sites, but the plots as well. Business and community, well, I don't have to tell you how hard they've been hit. In some cases, it's been devastating for them, but nevertheless, I've gone round and actually seen several pubs that maybe not open have still carried on with their displays. So we're entering the best shop, the best business, pub, restaurant, their garden, container displays. And it's up to you. If you see one like that, it may be the landlord might not enter, you enter it for them. Let's give them some encouragement for all the effort they're putting in. Hopefully, we're going to start soon visiting the pubs, going into the gardens. So again, if you go somewhere, you see a nice display, why don't you put it in? I'll be grateful. And then the best community garden, one of the biggest uptakes in the entries for Southeast in Bloom, which is a national competition I judge, has been in the community gardens. The number of people that have been locked inside and have looked outside and seen a corner of their road or a bit of land that nobody seems to want to care for, and then taking on the government guidelines, they've gone out there and they've actually had a go at tidying up that plot. Now, you may know, you may have been part of that, or you may know somebody that had. I can think of at least 3 in my local area where they decided and got permission to actually turn what was just a dump into a rather nice, attractive corner at the end of their road. So again, if you know any, please put them in or get them to put themselves in. And then the last award, which is the Ruxy Golden Trowel Award. This is something where again you can help, where there's somebody you know goes over and above the course of a duty or what have you, looking after other people's gardens, helping people with their gardens, could be anything like that you feel deserve that extra award. So all of those categories, you can either come into the garden centre, they'd love to see you, there's plenty to buy here, and you can get an entry form from, they've actually put up a display this year theming the Ruxley in Bloom competition. So you pick up your brochure from there, or entry form rather, or if you go online, and it's www.ruxley/manor.co.uk, and you can get the form and send it off. And we really, really hope, as James said, and we both feel confident we're going to get a record number. I think he said there's 3 million, but we don't want 3 million, but if we get a lot more than we had last year, we'll be very, very happy buddies. So that's on that side of it. Now, not to put you off, but just 1 or 2 of the award-winning gardens that we had last year, the back garden. While we're looking at them, I mean, the thing about it is that the first thing that judges look for is colour, whether it be in the shrubs, whether it be herbaceous, whether it be bedding plants, whatever it is, there's colour in the garden. The other thing is the combination of the colours, how well they've been put together, how they slide into each other. And more importantly, I suppose the very important thing is how you've looked after it. The important thing is the maintenance, edging the edge of the beds, the lawn's been cut properly, and so on, and we can't see any weeds and so on and so forth. So those are the sort of things we look for. Difficult circumstances. Some people, through no fault of their own, as a neighbour has a very high hedge or a tree overhanging, so they've actually decided to do a dry garden or something like that. So they've overcome that with that problem by doing something different. And all of these we take into consideration when we're totting up the marks to find the winner. And obviously you may know a neighbour that says, oh, I don't think my garden's good enough, but you know it is because you've entered yourself, then put them in. It's not going to cost anybody any money and not going to offend anybody. And who knows, there are plenty of nice prizes to be won. And the allotments, as I said earlier, very, very popular now. A lot more people are going out, growing their own and so on and so forth. So again, if you've got an allotment block and you want to enter it, please do. Or for that matter, speak to your the allotment secretary and see if you can't enter the whole site. There's something there for everybody. And it would be good to see as many people enter as possible, as we said earlier. The community gardens, that one there at Boston Community Gardens, fantastic. And that, funnily enough, used to be an old council site. Well, it was their nursery and it got run down, it got neglected. And then the community just got together and said, you know, this is awful, and what they've done to it is unbelievable. And there are many, many examples, maybe not at such a grand scale, but there are certain examples of corners, sites, what have you, as I said earlier. And of course, very near to my heart. In fact, I know that pub, it's a very nice pub too. And they've got a lovely display outside. The school gardens, as I say, we're not entering that this year. We're not doing a competition for that, but it is the containers. So any imagination, you get the kids to design it, do it, what have you, then put it onto a photograph and send it in and we will judge it. Now, obviously, there's all laid out in the brochures that you're going to pick up. But obviously we have to consider government guidelines. We'll be stupid not to. And as you can see, it's fairly straightforward as to what you can and can't do. But as I say, don't be deterred if you haven't got a side entrance to your garden and you want to enter your back garden. Send photos in to the Ruxley and we'll judge it that way. And the all important dates, the school photo entry closing date for the kids is the 28th of May. That's the bank holiday. The main entry closing date is the 29th of June. And the main entry photo only closing date is the 5th of August. As I say, all of these are available on the website, or you can come and pick a brochure up from the garden centre. And as I've said, that's when the school joke, well, we won't be doing it in person, but I've given you the date when to send the photos in for the school. And then the main judging dates, the 12th of July to the 5th of August. The school award ceremony for this year, hopefully it will be the only time we'll do it via Zoom. The award ceremony will be done by Zoom, which is on the 8th of July at 2 o'clock. The main award ceremony will be on the 15th of September at 7 p.m. Keep your fingers crossed, because hopefully, if the government allows it, it will be here at the lovely centre in Ruxley. Otherwise, you'll be notified as to what's going to happen. And there we are, all the things I said. So that concludes the entries, as I say. I hope we're going to get a lot of entries, and if the people that are listening know of friends that haven't, then get onto them ASAP and tell them to do what I said, either collect from here or go online. Yeah. So if anybody's got any questions or want me to shut up, then it's up to you.
There's no questions.
It's all gone very quiet.
Okay, if there's no questions, we can wrap it up, I think, Jim. Yeah.
Well, if you've not got any questions, as I say, it's very good of you to tune in this morning. please, at the earliest opportunity, come to the garden centre. There's lots of lovely things to buy, and this is the time to get out. Weather's a little bit cold, but it's bright. Stuff's starting to move. I honestly believe that this spring is more important than it's ever been before, because people are taking notice of it. Whereas normally you've got a busy life, you just go from one thing to the other, and to see everything coming out now is delight. So good luck, and we look forward to seeing hundreds of entries.
Thank you.
Ah.